Hey there, welcome. If you've been following me here on YouTube, you know that I talk about Hanna or clinical somatics pretty much ad nauseum, and I think it's just, the coolest thing since sliced bread. But I do think it's good for us to do a little bit of kind of neuromuscular cross-training, so to speak. So we explore other somatic modalities because we don't want to just habituate any kind of pattern, even our somatics. So one of the offerings that I have to my members over on my website is Proactive Postural Restructuring. And today I thought I would kind of introduce that to you and give you some sample movements to explore with me. So let's dive right in. Okay, right off the bat, Proactive Postural Restructuring, kind of a mouthful. I like to call it PPR. But basically, the things I'm going to share with you are simple, safe exercises. They're going to strengthen the anatomical alignment of your lower limbs, and that will enhance your overall posture from your pelvis up the spine to your neck and skull. So it sounds a little different, right, than our somatics where we work from our torso out to the periphery, out to our limbs. So I am by no means saying don't do somatics anymore. I'm saying this might be another way to enhance what you're trying to achieve. You want to achieve, better posture, a better carriage, meaning how you move and hold yourself up and move through your daily life by addressing the anatomical alignment of our legs. Okay, so a lot of times when people get up off the table or off the floor with me in their classes, sessions, they're moving well, but those lower limbs have these patterns that are coming from our center, but we just need to enhance anatomical alignment of our legs, which then builds back up into the center. So it's kind of adding on a new layer of somatic awareness and better mobility and better function. So let's give it a shot, shall we? So for the first thing we're going to do some footwork. And that's going to require a chair, just like if you do a seated somatics lesson with me. We're on something firm, flat surface, no arms, no wheels. And I want you to sit up nice and tall. You're going to bring your legs together. We're going to put our feet together and have our feet slightly out in front of our knees and not directly underneath our knees, okay? And then we're going to aim for drawing navel in and lengthening our back. And we're going to put our hands to the sides of our pelvis. So fingers around the front, thumbs wrapped to the back. And this is what we call our seated template posture, all right? And then please avoid squeezing your shoulder blades together to sit up tall. And this is where I see elbows float backwards. Just let your elbows float out to the side so you feel a widening across your upper back. Okay, so we're staying in this vertical position, and then legs are really drawn together, inside edges of the feet, and we're going to do what's called tapping or slapping of the feet. So I'm just going to pick up my right foot and give it a smack on the ground. Okay, now I probably should have taken off my socks because now my feet want to slide a little bit. Like magic, they're off. Okay, so we're smacking our foot on the floor, and maybe you can hear my foot. We want to hear our feet hit the ground. And again, navel's drawn in, back is nice and long and fairly flat. You can even put your hand back there. You feel the back of your body, okay? And you do this smacking with intention of pressing into the floor without trying to rock your body or your head to do it. And legs are together, okay? So it's about a 30-second duration of one of those smacking of your feet. Now I'm going to continue with a new movement with my right foot. I'm going to smack to the front and then out to the side, okay? So, and we're looking to see how much can we flex our foot and pick it up, okay? The front of the foot, ball and toes off the floor. Now you'll notice that there's not a lot of movement in the thighs. I've got my navel drawn in, my thighs together, my ankle bones are fairly close together, and there's this movement of the muscles in the lower leg to move the foot. And you might think, well, this looks pretty easy. Are you doing it? Because it actually gets challenging because your muscles are going to fatigue. Okay, take a break. And I'm just going to show you through on the right foot, and then you can repeat them on the left. So after you've done some on the left, so now let's try feet together and just smack up and down. Okay, so now I've got both of my feet smacking, and it gets even louder. Now you want to notice, are you able to hit the ground with both of your feet? And make sure, you can even peek over your knees, that your toes are touching the floor. A lot of times I see people kind of hit the floor with the balls of their feet, but they're not moving and articulating all the way into those bones of the toes. Okay, so feel your toes hit the ground as well. Avoid arching your back or starting to sit up and use a lot of excess tension in your back. Okay, and then take a break. We're going to do center, side, center, side. So center, side, center, side. Okay, so we're trying to keep our feet together. I'm going to pivot back to the front so you can see this, hopefully. And we don't want to see our knees do a lot of movement. Okay, so sometimes I see people do this. Now the movement's coming from up at the hip, and they're not really getting these muscles down here to do as much rotation for those ankle joints. Okay, so in the template posture, side, center, side, center. And I mean, of course, there's going to be a little bit of movement, but we're really trying to make the lower leg muscles work right now. All right, take another break. And we're just going to do center and wide like a duck. Okay, so out and in. Again, make sure that you're sitting up nice and tall, navel's drawn in, wide across your shoulder blades, nice flat back, and are your knees staying together? A lot of times I see people start to turn their knees out. And then we're also making sure that our feet don't start creeping under our chair. All right, take a little break. And if you like, you could come up, pause the recording, and take a little walk and see what that feels like. People are pretty amazed by getting the foot to push into the floor, which is what we need. We need that plantar flexion when we're walking, plantar flexion to push off the ground as we propel ourselves forward. And then come on back and we will do a different set of exercises. Now we're going to move into the heel lifts. Now this is again the template posture, but the difference is the feet are directly underneath our knees. So instead of that forward position, we're going to have them drawn in a little bit closer to our chair, still sitting up, navel drawn in, flat back. And you could put your hands back there and see, is your back fairly flat? If you arch your back, you'll find that it gets ridges along the side of your spine. We want to avoid that, all right? And then hands to the pelvis. If this is uncomfortable on your hands and wrists, you could put your fists on your hips, but we want to feel that our pelvis is not wiggling around, so the pelvis wrapped by the hands gives you that feedback, all right? So go ahead and sit up nice and tall, and we're going to articulate. We're going to rise onto the ball of the foot and then up onto the tippy toe, back through the ball, and back down. Okay, so up, up, down, down, up, up. Now you're really pointing your foot. When you come up onto your tippy toe, you want to avoid that mushing and pressing on your toe. So you have to really work to draw up, and everything is coming up and then lowering and articulating through your foot. All right, this is not some kind of like kind of little sloppy movement. You really have to be intentional of onto the ball, onto the toe, onto the ball, back down. Let's try a few on the other foot. Up, up, down, down. And again, your legs are staying very close to the midline. We want to avoid drifting our other leg away from that midline as we work with our focus foot. Okay, I'm just going to show you some of these movements. In the full classes, we do a little bit more and we do more combinations. But let's come back to neutral. Now, go ahead and quickly go up onto your tippy toe. Okay, so this is one of the moves that I quite often see people pull their foot back a bit. It's like they're actually lifting their leg up and putting their toe on the floor. That's not what it is. It's just up and articulating through that foot. Try a few on the other foot. And again, we're avoiding moving our torsos or arching our back or slumping. Some folks slump. Okay, so sitting up nice and tall can be a challenge for some of us. All right, so again, we do different combinations with that, and the heel lifts are helping to open up the front of your ankle so that you can, again, have more power to push into the floor. And again, you can pause the recording, take a little walk, That was just a brief heel lift exploration, and then I'd like you to come down and sit on the floor. So now we're going to do the seated template posture on the floor. That's our starting position for seated on the floor movements. We're going to draw our legs together, feet together, and we're going to sit up nice and tall. Again, our hands are going to be wrapped at the pelvis. So if you need to, you can lean back a little bit to tuck your hands in, and legs are together. Give a little spread of your toes, and I'm just going to give you a little sample. We do lots of things on the floor, but it's challenging enough for us, for many of us, to sit up like this. If that's the case with you, you could put your hands to the ground, but we're looking to keep that spine in that nice, long, flat position, okay? If you need to take a little bit of a break, you could always lean back, but I don't want you to do the exercises from this position, okay? So we're gonna sit up nice and tall and articulate that right foot. I'm gonna peel my toes, the ball of my foot, legs are drawn together, and then push the leg long. And we're looking to see if we can get the back of our knee very close to the floor. And as I do that, my heel lifts. I'm looking to see that my second toe is pointed straight up towards my face. I want to avoid the leg turning out right now. Okay? So this is that anatomical alignment that I was talking about. And then release the heel down and draw the flexed foot back next to the other one. And articulate to put the foot on the floor. Let's repeat it, left foot. Peel the toes, the ball, you're on your heel, you push your heel long. You can sit up and forward a little bit. And again, see if you can feel the back of your knee get very close to the floor. Don't worry, you are not hyperextending your knee because your leg is straight on the floor. You're not pushing your knee deeper than the floor surface. That would be hyperextension. And then drawing that foot next to the other. Then let's peel both feet, toes, ball onto heel, sit up nice and tall, extend the legs out, legs are drawn together. The more you pull them together, it helps you sit up. I've pressed my knees close to the floor, my heels have lifted, my toes are all pointed up towards my head. I want to feel what I'm doing, so take time to do that, and then release and come back and articulate through the feet. All right, we're going to repeat that now on our backs. So our template posture on the floor, legs are drawn together, feet are together, and again, hands at the pelvis. And this time you're trying to draw the navel in and lengthen the back into the floor. So you feel your low back kind of drop into the floor, and there's a widening across your shoulders. And then articulate your foot, and again, extend your leg down the floor. Now, this is where you really have to work hard to draw the navel in as you try to draw the knee closer to the floor and your heel lifts a bit. So the leg gets very straight. Avoid tipping your pelvis up on the other side. Okay, so we're not skewing our spines, but keeping our pelvis centered. And then draw the heel back next to the left and articulate through the foot down to ball and toes, and then we'll repeat on the other side. Peeling the toe, the ball, flexed up onto our heel, extending the leg long. And again, really feel, and if you want to, you could even peek. And you want to see those toes, again, pointed towards your nose. Avoid drifting your bent leg, your knee out, away from the midline. And then drawing that leg back to starting position, articulate through the foot. And then we'll do both feet. Toes, balls of feet flex. Really feel the foot flex as much as you possibly can. Navel's drawn in. Push the legs long. Okay, so navels are drawn in and we're really trying to keep our backs fairly pressed to the floor. Now, that's a challenging move. Don't worry if you can't get the back perfectly into the floor. But again, can you straighten your legs and feel that your legs and feet are together? Toes are flexed towards your head, and then heels drift back to starting position and articulate through the feet. Okay, so there are several of these push-pull patterns that we do seated and in our supine position on our backs. Now I'm going to show you a turning pattern. Okay, so this is to get us from our backs to our side and then also onto our backs. And it's kind of a cool move, and it requires awareness and alignment of how we're positioned on the floor. So we're gonna be in our template posture on our backs and then flex into your heels. So really feel your foot flexing towards your knees, navel's drawn in, and then just lift your shins up into the air. So I've got my feet flexed right now. I'm going to take my arms to the ceiling, point through my toes. I'm going to take my right arm to the floor alongside my head, and this right angle at the hip and the knee, I'm going to just roll on to my right side, catch my weight with my left, and I've come into my sideline template posture. So this sideline template posture is very similar to our side bend and our somatics movement. Now, go ahead and point through your feet as you lie on your side, and then articulate the top foot. You're going to toe, ball, heel, flex your foot. Again, really feel that your foot is flexed and pointed out in front of you instead of sickling either up towards the ceiling or a little dropping the sole of the foot to the floor. Some folks will do that. You want to feel that your foot is flexed and running parallel to the floor. And then draw your whole leg and foot in the flexed position slightly off the floor. Okay, so we're just elevating it a little bit, still very parallel with the floor. And then lower it back down. And you can relax your foot to more of a pointed foot. Let's try that again. We're going to add on. So toe, ball, heel, flex the left foot if you're lying on your right side, and then lift your leg ever so slightly. We're not going super high. It's just, maybe about 6 inches from the other leg. And then we're going to now turn our leg out and avoid, this is called a coupe or cutting in movement. We're going to avoid rocking our pelvis back. Hips are still stacked, and you're going to cut in front of your lower ankle with that flexed foot. And then go back to parallel and lower your leg and foot. And you can relax the flexion of your foot. One more time with a new addition. Toe, ball, heel, flex your foot. Remember, we're still thinking about navel drawn in, back's nice and long. Elevate your leg. Feel the parallel leg and foot to the floor. Rotate the femur head in the hip socket. So now my knee is pointing towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to just lift my knee and foot slightly towards the ceiling without rocking on the floor. My hips are still stacked. And then lower back in front of the ankle. Go back to the rotation of a parallel leg. And lower the leg back to starting position. So those are several little variations of our sideline exercises, and of course you could repeat them on the other side. So that's a pretty brief, compact set of exercises to give you a brief experience into proactive postural restructuring. We do things also a little bit lying on our bellies, and there's lots of combinations that I put together in the classes, but I just really wanted to share it here on YouTube because surprisingly, there's not a lot of people who are teaching proactive postural restructuring. I think that's partly because it's offered as a continuing education course for personal trainers, which I am. And most personal trainers, not all, they're more fast and furious. The somatic modalities are still not making it into the fitness world, but this stuff is very powerful, and it's going to make all your other activities that much better in life. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and you could comment down below. Let me know the positive experiences that you're having with this. Now, it was a brief lesson, but come up after you've explored these movements and walk around and see how you feel. I hope you enjoyed, and your body and brain did too. All right, ciao for now. I guess I should actually also mention down below are links to take you over to my website. So if you really dug this and you want to do some more, you can learn about the membership plans that I have, where you can take PPR classes live and get the recordings. And again, all the information is on my website. And I have different membership plans. Now, not every plan has Proactive Postural Restructuring, but again, pop over to the website, thinksomatics.com, and you can learn more, because I love sharing somatic modalities with the world, and I think it's pretty darn important. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video.